Hello, BluJustin here, still Justin and still not blue, and today I'm starting the first of a new series in which I ramble on about one of my new passions, which is anime. I'm certainly no anime expert, but I've been learning quite a lot about it as well as enjoying it. I'm hoping to bring you along on that journey with some of these videos. Now, my intention with this series is that each episode will be made up of two parts. The first part will be an individual subject chosen for that video, and the second part will be a roundup of the upcoming anime titles due out in the UK and a précis of what they're all about. In this particular, depending on how long each of those take, I shall be putting those either together in one video, or if I find out that any of the parts are particularly long, as is this case this week, I'm going to split them into parts 1 and part 2 and release them as separate videos, so you don't necessarily feel you have to or need to watch one video which is really quite long. It's easier to watch two, I hope you'll find. So in this particular instance, for this first episode, I'm also going to do something else that's new, just to throw that into the mix. And I'm going to start off with a review. I'm going to start off with a review of some anime, obviously, that I have watched, and I hope that you'll appreciate, before moving on to the second part where I deal with the upcoming anime separately. Me and Rias here we'll get to the anime with Rias Gremory actually in it in a later episode, but for now we're going to review I'm the Villainess, so I'm Taming the Final Boss. Yep, standard anime, quite long title. This is apparently relatively common, not just in anime, but in Japanese literature of all types. It's intended to make it stand out maybe a little on the shelf, books and DVDs and Blu-rays, whatever, manga. Not that they all do follow the pattern, but it's quite a common pattern in Japan to have the title be sort of like a outline of the plot. So you'll probably see that quite a lot. And P.S. this is probably the only time you will see I'm the Villainess, so I'm Taming the Final Boss t-shirt in the world. Yeah. I'm not going to be holding this one up the whole time because it's difficult, but yeah, it's quite a nice release. I'll get into the technical stuff later after the review. It has a different slip to image to the internal images. I think the and both I think are different to, yeah, both are different to the shirts. So yeah, that's the Blu-ray cover inside, and inside that we've got two discs, and even though you'll note that I bought it in the UK, but you can see from the that it's also sold in Germany, so they've got the German on one side and the UK age rating on the other. So I'm afraid You just have to put up with one age rating or the other. You can't get away with no age ratings on the front. So yeah, different. That's yes, like different disc artwork on both the two discs inside, which is nice. The slip is sort of like almost an American, just pop it back inside, style slip, in that it's got a cutout for the so you can see through to the barcode. I believe this is done so that people cannot take a slip of a cheap Blu-ray or DVD and put it over an expensive one inside. The till scans the barcode on the slip, and then the person illegally pays something cheap and walks off with an expensive interior. But what it does anyway. Right, a quick overview from the back, and that's: to save herself from a doomed fate as a villainess, she'll have to romance the Demon King, only this time there's no restart button. Doesn't really go into too much, and as you'll see there, you've also got the same thing in German and French. I think this is becoming a little bit of a new pattern with the company that's put this out, Crunchyroll. That's one of the big studios that puts out anime. And what they are doing at the moment is they're doing the same discs and putting them out in France, the UK and Germany. The plot essentially is one of real person in a computer game. Now, that's a subgenre of an anime genre that is called isekai. Now, isekai is usually where a person dies or is reincarnated or in a different place, and then has to live that life. Sometimes it's in a computer game, sometimes it's in another world, that sort of thing. In this case, like I said, this is a computer game. I didn't realise that when I first started watching. I thought the protagonist was surrounded by medical equipment and then they were dreaming to try and get out of that to see if they survived in their dreams, then they survived. But I think in actual fact, it is one of the isekai reincarnation type subgenres. And in this particular case, what happens is they are reincarnated as a character from a computer game the person played as a child. The computer game is actually called Regalia of Saints, Demons and Maidens. I'm just looking to check. I'm not sure if it's ever mentioned in the anime. It is in the original manga comic that it's based on. When she enters the story and escapes, she soon realises she's the villainess when in the opening scene her fiancé breaks off their engagement and announces her love for the game's intended protagonist. And however, she remembers from her playing of the game that she will not suffer a happy fate if the final boss, that guy, actually loses and is defeated by, which is the intention, obviously, of people who would normally play the game. However, she's got the advantage of actually being able to remember her playthroughs of the game. So she sets off on a journey or with a plan of changing the outcome so that it's much more peaceful and gets her a happy ever after, rather than the intended protagonist that you normally get in the game. This is a concept that is slightly unusual in this type of anime, in that a lot of the time the protagonist is supposed to make sure that the game plays the way it should, and end up where with the correct ending. Whereas in this case, the idea is the protagonist is trying to stop the regular ending of the game. So that makes it a little bit different. Plot-wise, that's the overall idea. They interestingly break the whole plot down into 3 different sub-arcs. The whole thing is 12 episodes of 30 minutes each, which is quite common for anime series. And they break it down into 3 4-episode sub-arcs. The first sub-arc is the first game in the series, so to speak. The second arc, in the next 4 episodes, is the sequel game, and the third arc, the last 4, is a user created and modded game, which is sort of like unofficial. That means that they can grab bits out of the first 2 games, official games, and bring back characters that have potentially died or anything like that, just to make their game as exciting as possible, because it's user generated. Each episode, like I said, about 30 minutes. Actually, it turns out to be about 25 minutes. And the 4 episodes, that gives her time to work out the challenges, plan the strategy, and resolve each scenario, which each game could result in her downfall if she doesn't get it right. I like to say that each plot arc, though it has the same generic idea, doesn't get to, oh, I've seen this all before, samey. So you don't go like, well, it's obvious how this is going to go. This is just the same as the last 4 episodes, only the minor differences. Well, that's what I felt. And things get harder for her as the series progresses, because she only remembers the first game really well. The second game she remembers bits of, and the user modded one she remembers even less. So that works quite well, I think. The animation itself is pretty decent. It's not outstanding. The back of the cover says it's 12 rated for sexual threat. This is only very, very, very minor. Actually, confusingly, I will just add that the BBFC site says that it should be 15 rated for sexual threat, because in one of the episodes there's a scene where the female protagonist, is tied down to the bed by the bad guy, her ex-fiance, troublemaker, and essentially because it's being set in a medieval type setting where honour is very important, especially in Japan, then it's very much a case of, aha, if I ruin you for the person that you love, he won't love you anymore, therefore I shall have victory type thing. I mean, it's very implied. In the BBFC description, it says that he invites someone to watch. In actual fact, in the actual anime itself, actually made sure that everybody had left the room, and before he started reaching forward to unbutton the top button of her blouse, and that's about, to be honest, as far as it gets. And he's practically moustache twirling. It's just about that level of threat, to be perfectly honest, in my opinion. And very soon after, there's a good nice. I hope not to spoil it too much, but yeah, I mean, obviously she gets rescued. In the second arc, there are extremely sexist attitudes because she attends another a part of the world, an academy. She disguises herself as a boy to avoid those sexist attitudes and to investigate a problem. That's right. And but don't worry about it. She doesn't put up with any of that sort of thing at all. So she's goes in and puts a lot of them straight on their attitudes. I think apart from what I would call an overall, well, that was rather convenient ending, but it is decent and fitting for the whole series overall. This really kept my attention throughout, and I enjoyed the internal planning using her game memories, and I liked the fact that it broke it down into the 3 sub-arcs, made it very easy to watch in small portions with only 25-minute episodes and easily keeping track of where you were. I watched it over a very short period, to be honest, and I very much enjoyed it. It was interesting to me to find the protagonist, point out that she remembered which characters were romanceable. Now, luckily, due to following Ray Lee's media YouTube channel, I've watched a couple of run-throughs of her playing some Baldur's Gate, so I actually knew I understood much more what a romanceable character was and why it's important to the plot. So thank you for that, Ray. Yep. The protagonist I found reasonably, she was likeable, with good determination, friendly nature and intelligence. She did occasionally move from I'm happily engaged to, this is the new character, and then she suddenly became all but it's so embarrassing if he kisses me, which is I found a bit odd, and I dare say potentially a cultural difference, that she found it embarrassing to kiss someone she was supposed to be in love with. Despite the fact it says 300 minutes long on the cover, that's something you will, if you watch any anime, quite often they will state 300 minutes on the cover for 12 episodes, which is a regular length. They just use it as a very, very rounded figure. In actual fact, it's 284 minutes. The only extras on the disc, which I'll go into the disc stuff now, they're the usual clean opening and closing titles. They just do the titles without without the wording and stuff over the top. And by the way, watch out, because both the start and the end titles, they have different music. They both have horribly earwormy songs if you watch it too often. In actual fact, that's quite the case with quite a few anime series, though I'll go into this in another video much more, but it's quite odd, not in this one, but quite oddly for us in the West, they quite often change the theme song maybe halfway through a series, or certainly between series, and they do that because they give new bands a break by playing their music as intro music on anime. So that's one of the cultural things they do that. So, like I said, audio wise, this one has the original Japanese stereo and English 5.1 surround as a dub. It's quite common for some reason to the Japanese might be original stereo only, but the dub, it's created in 5.1, which is quite nice. I personally do not mind dubs at all on anime because, I mean, they don't specifically have the exact lip movements to the original Japanese anyway. Though if it's a case of Japanese only, I will still have no problem getting it. Subtitles are available in English, German and French, though you can't switch between these on the fly. I think they did this setup because they're trying to stop it being resold back to its own country, where for some reason Blu-rays are incredibly expensive in Japan relatively, and it might be cheaper for Japan to actually re-import stuff that they produced and was sold abroad, because it's sold, even though anime it's relatively expensive over here. I think they're trying to avoid that, and that's one of the reasons why there are lots of limitations in the ability to switch subtitles and things like that. Technically, the discs are regions A and B compatible, not C, which again is an indication that you might not want it going back to the region C of Asia. And I would say I'll put the price of the I'll put the prices that I can find it at the various places up here. I think the RRP is $49.99, though I got it for significantly less than that by waiting for an Amazon sale. So hopefully you can do the same. If you're interested, I'd say this is a good first time out starter for anybody wanting to try some anime. It's that's not down the Studio Ghibli type route. It's a series, which is what most anime is. It also has the bonus, as I've mentioned a few times, of being very easy to watch with its broken down sub-arcs, and it's also properly wrapped up and self-contained, because even though it was quite popular and there were talks of a second season of this, that never came about, and it would have probably come about in 2023, so I think we're probably well beyond the chances of that happening. So and as I say, I think it's a good introduction because there's not really any of the fan service for any nudity or anything like that. It also does have themes which are interesting enough for adult watchers as well as teenagers, thus the 12 age rating, which I think is about right. Yes, instead of having fan service, it's very much a light romantic comedy, fantasy, adventure set in a chivalrous period. So I don't think there's anything too much to worry about for whoever's viewing it. Though, like I said, I think it does have a good plot, and I would recommend it with from me, a 70% score. So that is I'm the Villainess, or I'm Taming the Final Boss. 70% from me, and recommended as a good starting point for a first anime series. And so that was the review for this part. and I hope you enjoyed it. If you could hit the like button and leave any comments you have beneath on any suggestions for future subjects and or reviews that you'd like to see covered by me in this anime series. And I shall now head off and leave you to hopefully find the second part of this video, which is going to go into what's upcoming and what you might be interested to have a look at, and also to sort of suggest certain ideas that are part of the anime genre. Anyway, just for now, thank you very much for watching, and bye.